Welcome to the 1 Minute Mobility Series. I'm going to give you 5 different movement sequences that you can practice at home with no equipment that'll help you level up your athleticism for any sport. All right, let's go. Welcome to part 3. Now we're going to learn to crawl. And I'm going to break crawling down into a few steps to really help you hone the coordination. So I'm going to start in this shortened plank position. My hips are low, and I'm going to plant my left fist and I'm going to drive off of my right foot. And I'm going to rock onto my right fist. I'm going to use the suspension in my right elbow to push me back to starting. And I'm drawing myself down with that right hip. So it's drawing me down into flexion. I'm going to rock back and forth there a couple of times. All right, then I can do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'll flip over so you can see. So now I'm driving out of my left hip. I'm using my left fist as my suspension. So part of what I want to get dialed here is the coordination. That left, right side reciprocity that's built into the way that we move, we walk, we ski tour, everything we do. We can build that into our crawling and develop greater intuition around movement and problem solving movement by baking that into our training. Now, as you start to feel comfortable with that, we can go to the next step, and that's simply going to be a forward crawl. So what I do is come back here, rock back and forth a couple of times, get this coordination and reciprocity between left fist and right foot, and then boom, flow that into the opposite step. All right, let's try that again. So this time I'll be driving out of my left foot, landing on my left fist. Do that a couple of times, get that timing and coordination. And then I can rock on the right side and just continue to pattern it as I go. Really working on syncing up the timing of that reciprocity. That'll have a huge impact on your athleticism. You'll see it show up in lots of different places. Okay, so now we've got this forward crawl. And now the last step is going to be a backwards crawl, which is really a lot harder than you think, or at least it was for me, really coordinating that same movement, but in the opposite sequence. Once you've got all 3 of those, you've got yourself the building block for another great 1 minute mobility routine. It might look like this. This is how I start a lot of my sessions. So I'm just gonna start rocking back and forth. Get that dialed. And then I'm gonna link that with a step. I'm gonna rock there. And I'm gonna crawl forward a little bit. And I'm gonna start crawling backwards. I'm really trying to make sure that the fist and foot are moving at the same time. So there you go, learning to crawl. So there's the crawling mobility routine. I think crawling is really an integral part of any athletic training because crawling is where we come from. We were crawlers before we were walkers as a species. We evolved out of an environment that was forested. We were climbers before we were walkers. And that quadrupedal movement is part of what makes us so athletic today. And when we think of our own journey as adults, we remember that we all crawl first. It's part of our learning to locomote. So we can really come back to that and reintegrate that into our athletic movement. And if you think about it, there's so many sports that rely on crawling. Alpine climbing is just a big exercise in crawling. And really all forms of climbing represent that same quadrupedal movement pattern. This is part of our Climb IQ series, and that also drops May 23rd. I think you'll find that to be a very groundbreaking approach to mobility, especially for climbers, but all athletes who want to develop that third dimension of their movement. Tomorrow, we're going to get into some standing movements and we're going to integrate some throwing into this sequence. All right, thanks for being here. See you out there.